The air was dry and full of dust. Broken metal pieces from the crash lay scattered across the rocky ground. Nathan coughed as he pulled himself out from under a cracked engine panel. His ship had been shot down hours ago, and he was lucky to be alive. Sparks jumped from damaged wires, and smoke slowly rose into the orange sky. He wiped sweat from his forehead and looked around. No sign of rescue, no signal on his comms, only miles of dangerous land and a half-dead engine core. He wasn't a soldier or explorer, just a simple mechanic who had worked for a small cargo company. Fixing engines, patching old wiring, doing boring checks, that was his life. Now, stranded on a foreign world with barely any supplies, he had no idea what to do. Still, he grabbed his backpack, filled it with tools and water, and started walking.
Ow.
Staying near the ship would only invite trouble. After hours of walking, he heard something strange, loud blasts, followed by deep growls. He crouched near a group of rocks and peeked over. A group of armored figures were fighting a huge alien beast. The beast had thick scales, glowing eyes, and claws like knives. It swung its tail, sending one of the figures flying into the dirt. Nathan's heart pounded. He knew he should run, hide, or just stay out of it. But then he saw one of the armored fighters struggling to stand, her leg trapped under debris. The beast roared and charged straight at her. Without thinking, Nathan moved. He rushed toward the scene, picking up a metal rod from the ground. As the beast raised its claw, Nathan threw the rod with all his strength. It struck the creature's eye. The beast roared in pain and turned toward him. The mercenary woman didn't waste time. She pulled out her weapon and fired several shots into the beast's neck. It finally collapsed with a heavy thud, shaking the ground. Nathan stood still, his hands shaking. The woman turned to him, her sharp yellow eyes glowing behind her cracked visor. She was tall, muscular, and covered in dark green armor. Blood stained her arm, and her breathing was heavy. "You," she said with a growl. "What species are you?" Human," Nathan replied, confused and nervous. She narrowed her eyes. "You're not a soldier. No, just a mechanic." Stared for a moment longer, then groaned and sat down on a rock. "Then why did you help me?" Nathan looked at the ground. "Didn't really have a plan. Just didn't want to see you die." "You're foolish," she muttered, pulling off her helmet.
But lucky.
Her face was strong, with sharp alien features and purple skin. A scar ran down her left cheek. She wiped sweat from her forehead and looked around. The other mercs were gone, maybe dead, maybe ran. She was alone now. "Name's Kalira," she said at last. "Mercenary captain, ship's gone, squad's gone, weapons damaged, and now I'm stuck with a human mechanic." Nathan gave a weak smile. "I'm Nathan. Guess we're both having a bad day." Kalira tried to stand, but her leg buckled. Nathan rushed to her side. She shoved him away at first, but then allowed him to support her. "There's an extraction point 20 kilometers east," she said. "We'll make it there. We might live." "Sounds good," Nathan said. "But first, we need to fix your gear." They found shelter inside a nearby cave. Nathan started unpacking his tools while Kalira removed her heavy armor. She groaned as she pulled off her chest plate, revealing the damage underneath. Her left side was burned, and her inner suit was torn. Eyes front, human. She barked, noticing Nathan glance her way. Her cheeks flushed a light shade of blue, which Nathan guessed meant embarrassment. "Sorry, I just timed trying to help." He stammered, quickly looking away. She grumbled something in her own language and focused on cleaning the wound. Nathan handed her a bandage from his kit. "You're not like most humans I've heard about," she said after a long silence. "You've heard about humans?" "Merc rumors," Kalira said. "Most think you're soft, loud, and weak. But today, you threw a rod at a war beast without a weapon." "Yeah," Nathan said with a laugh. "I guess I am pretty dumb." For the first time, she let out a small, short laugh. It was more of a grunt, but it was still a laugh. As night fell, the two sat quietly by the cave's edge, watching the stars. Kalira's armor pieces were laid out to dry. Nathan worked on fixing her cum unit with a small, Soldering tool. If we're going to survive, Kalira said, we'll need to move fast tomorrow. Predators are thick in these parts. Then we move at dawn, Nathan said. She gave a slow nod. You're still foolish, human. But maybe not useless. Nathan smiled. Thanks, I think. The wind howled outside, but inside the cave, there was a strange kind of peace. Two strangers from different worlds, forced to depend on each other. And even though their journey was just beginning, something told Nathan this was going to be more than just a walk to safety. Morning came with the sound of growling winds and distant thunder. The sky above the cave was still dark, with thick clouds moving across the horizon. Kalira stood at the cave entrance, already armored up again. Though her left side still hurt, she didn't show it. She was trained to hide pain. But even she knew that if she didn't get proper medical attention soon, infection would spread. Nathan packed the last of their things, double-checking the tools in his bag. He had repaired her cum unit during the night, but the signal was still weak. Maybe the mountains nearby were blocking the waves. 20 kilometers east, right? He asked, tightening the straps of his pack. Yes, she replied. We move fast. Stay close. Don't talk unless needed. Got it, Nathan. Said with a nod. They started walking through the rocky field, stepping carefully around sharp stones and deep cracks in the ground. The wind carried fine dust that stuck to their skin and gear. For hours, they said nothing. Kalira stayed focused, scanning the area with every step. Nathan walked behind her, trying to match her pace. But as the sun rose, heat followed. Kalira's movement slowed slightly. She winced once, then again. Finally, Nathan noticed her limping. You need to rest, he said. Double quotes. No. Keep moving. You're slowing down. If you fall, we both lose. She stopped, turned, and glared at him. I am your protector, not the other way. Maybe, Nathan said, but I'm your friend too. And friends don't let friends fall. Her sharp expression faded for a second. She didn't say anything. Instead, she walked toward a nearby rock and sat down. 10 minutes, she muttered. No more. Nathan handed her a water pouch and began checking the signal again. Still no connection. He adjusted the frequency, boosted power slightly, and added one of Kalira's power cells to his device. A tiny green light blinked better than before, but not enough. This world's full of interference, he said. If we can reach higher ground, we'll have a better chance. Kalira nodded, drinking slowly. There's a ridge ahead. We'll climb it. They moved again, this time slower, but more careful. Halfway up the rocky ridge, Nathan slipped. On loose gravel, Kalira grabbed his arm before he fell and pulled him up. Thanks, he said, breathing hard. You're heavier than you look. She replied, Well, I wasn't trained for climbing alien cliffs. She gave a short grunt, not quite a laugh, but close. For someone so serious, that small sound meant a lot. At the top of the ridge, they paused. The land stretched far in every direction, rock, dust, and strange plants with glowing roots. In the distance, smoke rose. It wasn't from their crash, it was fresh. Campfire? Nathan asked. Not ours, Kalira said, narrowing her eyes. Possibly hostile. They crouched behind rocks and watched. Below, 3 figures walked near the smoke, dragging something behind them. Kalira zoomed in using her visor. Raiders, she said quietly. They don't belong to any army or company. They take from survivors. Sometimes worse. Nathan frowned. We can go around? Yes, but it'll take longer. Let's take the long way, he said. I've had enough. Fights. She agreed, and they climbed down the other side of the ridge. The path was rough, but safer than crossing paths with raiders. The sun began to lower as they found a dry stream bed to follow. Soon they reached a small canyon and found shelter. Under an overhang, as night fell, the air cooled. Nathan started a small fire using local plant fibers. Kalira sat near it, her face thoughtful. You said earlier? You're just a mechanic, she said. Double quotes. Yep, just a guy who fixes broken things. Yet you risked your life for someone you didn't know. Nathan poked the fire. Maybe fixing things isn't just about machines. Maybe it's about people too. Kalira looked at him for a long time. Her expression was unreadable. With a sigh, she reached for the clasps on her chest armor. Armor is damaged, she said. Needs air. Don't stare. Nathan quickly turned his back. I'm not staring. Good, I'll know if you lie. He stared into the fire while she undressed behind him. Even without looking, he could hear the sound of metal plates falling to the ground. The soft hum of her inner suit peeling away. He tried to think of anything else. Why are you so jumpy? She asked after a moment. Is nudity shameful on your world? Not shameful, just private, he said. On mine, it's normal in war zones, but not with humans, I suppose. Sounded amused. Nathan kept his eyes fixed on the flames. You can turn around, she said finally. I've covered myself. He turned and saw her sitting in a blanket she had pulled from her gear. Her armor lay beside her, and she was using his tools to fix a bent joint piece. Odd. The firelight made her skin look softer, less like a warrior, more like a person. You're good with tools, she said. I've had years of practice, he replied. Machines don't argue.
I do not argue.
I command, right? Of course. They both smiled. After a while, the wind picked up, and they moved deeper into the shelter. Kalira closed her eyes, and for the first time, Nathan saw her relax. Wake me in for hours, she said. Your turn to watch then. Nathan nodded. I will. As she drifted into sleep, Nathan stared up at the stars. So many galaxies. Above and right beside him, an alien mercenary who, just yesterday, wouldn't have trusted him with a single step. Now, they were watching each other's backs. Maybe he wasn't just a mechanic after all. Nathan's eyes stayed open, even when his body asked for sleep. He sat near the edge of the overhang, holding a small handheld scanner. The fire had died down, but its heat still warmed the small space. He glanced over his shoulder. Kalira was still asleep, her breathing slow and steady, her long arm resting over her gear like a soldier guarding her past. Suddenly the scanner beeped, soft but sharp. Nathan's eyes narrowed. Something was moving nearby large, slow steps, just outside. The canyon. He reached for Kalira's shoulder and shook her gently. Wake up, he whispered. Her eyes opened at once. No confusion, just calm alertness. What is it? Something's moving out there, big. She picked up her weapon and crawled forward, peeking past the rocks. In the dim moonlight, something passed between the trees near the canyon wall. A tall shape, with thick limbs and eyes that glowed red. It's hunting, she whispered. Us, likely. Predators in this region can smell sweat and fear. It probably followed our trail. Nathan swallowed. So what do we do? Move. Before it closes in, it hasn't seen us yet. They packed quickly and moved away from the overhang, walking low and fast. The ground was uneven, and the moon offered little light. Every sound seemed louder now, each step, each breath. Behind them, the predator growled. It was following. What is that thing? Nathan asked. They call it a stalker, Kalira said. Part animal, part biomachine. Some say it was made during the old wars. Great, he muttered. It wants to eat us or crush us. Same result. They ran now, moving downhill through sharp rocks and fallen logs. The stalker chased them, crashing through the trees with heavy steps. Kalira turned and fired a few shots to slow it down. Her shots hit the creature's side, but it didn't stop. It roared and kept coming. Nathan spotted a narrow gap between two stone walls. In there, he shouted. They squeezed through the gap. The stalker tried to follow, but got stuck for a moment, giving them just enough time to climb higher. Looked for a place to trap it. We need to lead it to a deadfall, she said. A what? A rock trap. Natural slide. If we break the right part, rocks will bury it. And how do we do that? He asked, breathing hard. Your tools, she said. Use your mind mechanic. They reached a ledge above the canyon wall. Below them was a steep slope full of loose stones. Kalira pointed to a large crack near the edge. Break that crack open, she said. I'll lead the beast under it. What you're going to be bait? I'm faster than it is. Just do your part. Nathan didn't like the plan, but he didn't argue. He knelt beside the crack and began cutting carefully with his laser tool. The line grew deeper with every second. Below, Kalira shouted and fired her weapon, getting the stalker's attention. It roared and climbed toward her, almost ready. Nathan called. Kalira jumped from one rock to another, dodging the beast's claws. It chased her up toward the trap. When she reached the marked spot, Nathan gave the final cut. The ground gave way. Tons of rocks crashed down. The stalker didn't even get a chance to turn. It was buried under the weight, roaring one last time before silence took over. Nathan sat down, gasping. Kalira walked back up, bruised but smiling. You did well, she said. I can't feel my hands, he said, holding them up. But thanks. They found another small cave not far from the rockfall and decided to rest again. This time Nathan collapsed as soon as he lay down. When he woke hours later, he found Kalira cleaning her weapon.
Oh.
Her skin had dirt marks, and her armor had more scratches now, yet she looked calm. Why do you do this? He asked. Fighting monsters, risking your life? She looked up at him. Because I was made for it. You mean trained? No, made, she said. My kind are raised in mercenary guilds. Combat is our life. We fight. We follow contracts. And when we die, another takes our place. Sat up. That sounds empty. It is, Kalira admitted. But I never thought about it before, until now. Because of me. She nodded once. Humans are strange. Soft, but brave. Weak, but clever. You confuse me. He smiled, glad. To be confusing. Kalira looked away, then added softly, You saved my life twice. No contract, no reward, just kindness. Is that rare where you're from? Very. The moment hung in the air like a fragile thread. For the first time, Nathan saw her not as a warrior, but as someone who had never known trust without a price. She looked at him and said, You've proven more useful than expected. Thanks, I think, he replied with a grin. Suddenly, the repaired cum unit beeped. Nathan grabbed it. Signal it was weak but real. It's working, he said. I think we found a signal path. Kalira stood. Can we call for pickup? Maybe. If we keep climbing east and boost the range? She nodded, and we keep going. Nathan smiled, stood up, and shouldered his pack. Together? Yes, she said. But if we run into another beast, you're the bait this time, he laughed. Deal. And with that, they walked into the morning light, two unlikely teammates growing closer with every step. The path ahead was still dangerous, but they were no longer just strangers. They were something more. The sky was turning gray as the sun stayed hidden behind thick clouds. Nathan and Kalira climbed over a wide hill, their boots sinking into soft ash that covered the ground like snow. The smell of old fire filled the air. This place had burned. Long ago, but nothing had grown back since. We're getting close, Kalira said, checking the small signal device on her arm. The extraction zone should be less than 5 kilometers ahead. Nathan nodded, but his legs were tired. He had not eaten anything in hours, and the last of their water was nearly gone. Any chance we'll find shelter soon? He asked Kalira. Scan the terrain. There's a structure up ahead, maybe an old outpost. They moved quickly. As they reached the ruins, they found what was left of a small base walls broken, roof half gone, and machines rusted. Vines and alien moss had grown around the corners. The place looked forgotten. This base belonged to mercs like me, Kalira said, brushing her fingers over a damaged logo. Many cycles ago, before I was born, they entered carefully. Inside, the air was dry and heavy. Broken crates, empty energy packs, and an old terminal sat in the corner. Nathan checked the power core and was surprised to find a tiny spark. Still active? I might be able to bring this back to life, he said. Kalira nodded. Do it. We'll rest here tonight. While Nathan worked on the terminal, Kalira checked the area, then removed her armor, piece by piece. Her shoulder was bruised, and her leg injury had grown worse. But she said nothing. When Nathan finally powered the terminal, a few flickering lights appeared on the screen. Most of the data was gone, but he found something in an old report. Looks like a mission log, he said. From someone named Commander Vesk. Kalira turned quickly. I know that name. Friend of yours. Mentor, she said. He trained me, led my first missions. He vanished years ago. Nathan played. The log. The voice was rough, deep, and tired. The message was broken by static. They turned on us. Command sold us out. Data hidden. We buried it in Vault 7. Whoever finds this, trust no one from the Crimson Order. The message ended with a loud crack. Kalira stood silent, her jaw tight. Crimson Order. It's my company. Nathan looked at her. They betrayed their own? She didn't answer at first. She sat down on a crate, eyes cold. I always followed orders. Fought where they told me. Never asked questions. But now, things make sense. They left me behind during my last mission. No backup. No warning. Maybe they wanted me gone. Nathan sat beside her. What will you do now? Kalira looked at the floor. I don't know. Spaced this message it. Changes everything. He reached into his pack and handed her a wrapped bar. First you eat, then we figure it out. She took the food without a word. As they ate in silence, a soft sound filled the room, a hum, like a faint signal. Nathan checked the terminal again. The comm tower is weak, but it's picking up something. Kalira walked over. Play it. A voice came through. To any survivors, this is Outpost D12. We received your ping. Extraction team will arrive by midday tomorrow. Stay in place. Nathan smiled. We made contact, but Kalira didn't smile. Did you hear the signal code? Yeah, so. That code is used only by Crimson Order ships. Paused. You think they're not coming to rescue us? No, she said. They're coming to erase the last witness. Me. A heavy silence followed. Nathan slowly turned off the terminal. Then we don't stay in place. No, she agreed. We prepare. He spent the next hour setting traps around the ruined base. Kalira showed Nathan how to build simple alarms, tripwires, and spike pits. Nathan used his tools to overload some of the broken machines, turning them into flash bombs. What if we just ran? He asked. They'll find us. Better to make our stand here where we know the ground. When the traps were ready, Kalira walked to the back of the base and sat under the broken ceiling. The light from a cracked roof panel lit her face. Nathan followed, sitting across from her. You were quiet earlier, he said. About the betrayal. Kalira looked at him. Where I come from, loyalty is everything. I followed my leaders without question. Now I realize they saw me as a tool, not a person. You're not a tool, Nathan said. You saved my life more than once. You think, you feel, you protect people who don't even belong to your world. She looked at him for a long time. You care too much, human, maybe, he said, but caring kept us alive. She gave a small nod, her eyes softer now. If we don't make it tomorrow, don't say that. Let me say this now. I'm glad you were the one who found me in that field. Nathan smiled. Me too. They sat quietly, sharing warmth under the broken roof, knowing the next day would bring danger. But for now, they weren't just fighter and mechanic. They were two people who had found something rare in the middle of a broken world trust. And maybe something even stronger than that. Sunlight crept slowly through the cracks of the ruined outpost. The early morning air was cold and dry. Kalira sat on one knee beside the doorway, checking the traps they had set the night before. Her sharp eyes scanned every wire and sensor. Nothing had been triggered dash yet. Nathan was at the far corner of the room, adjusting the power packs connected to the overloaded machine traps. Wires and parts were spread out on the floor around him. Worked fast but careful, his hands steady. He didn't speak, not because he was afraid, but because he knew today could be their last. We have maybe 2 hours, Kalira said, watching the sky. They'll come from above. It's probably a dropship with 4 or 5 combat units. And they're after you, Nathan said. But they'll come for me too. Yes, she said simply. You know, too much now. Nathan smiled sadly. Lucky me. Kalira walked over and crouched beside him. There's still time to run. If you hide in the Eastern Valley, they may not track you. He looked up. At her, I'm not leaving you. I'm trained for this. You're not. Doesn't matter. I said we'd get through this together. Her expression changed slightly. It was only a second, but the hard edge in her eyes softened. Then she stood. Fine. Then we fight together. They finished setting the traps and covered themselves in the shadows of the broken base. Kalira gave Nathan a small blaster old. Scratched, but still working. Only shoot when you're sure, she said. I'll try not to drop it, he replied. The hours passed slowly. Every sound made them flinch. Every gust of wind felt like a warning. Then around midday, a low rumble filled the air. The ground shook slightly. Kalira stood, her eyes locked on the sky. They're here. A dropship appeared from the clouds. Black and sharp, with crimson symbols painted across the sides. It hovered above the clearing and then slowly lowered, stirring dust and ash. The doors opened and 5 figures stepped out, mercenaries in full armor. Weapons drawn, Kalira narrowed. Her eyes, that one in front. I know him, Commander Jarek. He trained under Vesk too. Think he remembers you? He won't care. His orders are clear. The Mercs moved toward the outposts, spreading out in a line. Kalira waited. Her fingers were ready over the trigger of her rifle. When the lead Merc stepped on a loose stone, the tripwire snapped. A bright flash exploded near his feet. He shouted, blinded, and stumbled back. The others raised their weapons. But a second Trapnathon's machine bomb burst with a high-pitched screech. Disabling their helmets for a moment, Kalira sprang forward, firing quick shots. Her aim was perfect. She hit 2 of them in the legs, dropping them to the ground. The third rushed at her. It crashed into the wall, fighting hand to hand. Kalira blocked his blows, then flipped him over her shoulder and knocked him out cold. Nathan stayed low behind the old terminal, heart racing. One of the Mercs spotted him and charged. Nathan pointed the blaster with shaking hands and fired. The shot hit the Merc's arm. The man shouted in pain and Nathan ducked back behind cover. Stay down, Kalira called, taking out another target. Commander Jarek didn't rush in like the others. He stepped forward slowly, holding a blade. Instead of a gun, Kalira, he said calmly, you're making this difficult. You betrayed Vesk, she replied, and now you came for me. Orders are orders, he said. You should have died quietly. Now you've made it messy. Kalira didn't speak. She raised her weapon, but Jarek moved fast. Faster than the others. He threw a flash grenade that lit the entire room. Nathan covered his eyes, but Kalira had already leaped behind cover. The 2 clashed, Kalira with her rifle, Jarek with his blade. Sparks flew as metal hit metal. Each movement was sharp and trained. They knew each other's steps. This wasn't just a fight, it was history breaking apart. Nathan watched from behind the terminal, his mind spinning. Kalira was fast, but she was still injured. Jarek pushed her back, strike after strike. Nathan grabbed the last power core from his pack and connected it to the overload unit. It began to whine with energy. He picked it up and ran toward the fight. Kalira was pushed against a wall. Jarek raised his blade for the final strike butt before he could bring it down. Nathan threw the charged device between them. Kalira, duck. She dropped to the ground. The device exploded with a wave of force, sending Jarek flying back. He hit the far wall and didn't move. The room was silent. Kalira slowly stood and looked at Nathan. He was panting, covered in dust, the blaster still shaking in his hand. You saved me, she said. Had to, he said. It was my turn. Ch walked toward him and helped him up. Outside, the dropship engines still hummed. But now, without their crew, there was no one to fly it. Kalira stood beside Jarek's body. She checked his pulse, alive but out cold. We'll leave him, she said. He'll face his own judgment. Nathan nodded. What now? Take the dropship, she said. Leave this world. Expose what they did. And after that, she paused, then looked at him. I don't know, but I don't want to go alone. Then don't. The 2 walked toward the ship together. Step by step, wounded but alive. No longer just strangers, no longer mercenary and mechanic. They had fought side by side. They had won. The dropship's ramp hissed as it lowered. Nathan and Calera stepped inside, weapons still ready, hearts still racing. The lights inside flickered to life, and the soft hum of engines filled the air. For a moment it felt strange stepping into a ship that had arrived to erase them. Now there's two, control. Calera moved quickly through the cabin. She disabled the tracking beacon first, then scanned the navigation system. The ship still had fuel, enough to get them off the planet and into neutral space. She moved with focus, her body tired, but her mind sharp. Nathan followed her to the cockpit. He looked at the controls and blinked. "I've never flown anything like this," he said. "You won't have to," Calera said, sitting in the pilot's chair. "I've flown Crimson ships before." She typed a few commands. And the engine growled softly as it powered up. Outside, smoke from the battle still drifted in the wind. Behind them, the ruined base was quiet. There was no one left chasing them for now. "Are you sure Jarek won't follow?" Nathan asked. "Not in his state," Calera said. "And if he tries, the message we're about to send will make it too late." Nathan sat beside her. "You mean the recording from Commander Vesk?" "Yes, but not just that. This ship's logs, the location of the betrayal, the trap they set, it's all here."
Ouch.
She uploaded the files into the system and connected the ship's long-range transmitter. Her fingers paused over the final command. "Once I send this," she said, "there's no going back. The Crimson Order will hunt both of us." Nathan placed a hand on the console beside her. They already were. Calera looked at him. His face was tired, dusty yet calm, steady in a way that surprised her again and again. "You really are." "Strange," she said. "You could have run 10 times by now, and leave you behind. Not my style." She gave a quiet smile and pressed the button. A pulse of light shot from the transmitter. The files were now sent across several secure channels to outposts, networks, and old allies of Vesk. The truth was out. The Crimson Order could not silence it anymore. They both leaned back in their seats. The ship lifted gently off the ground and rose above the gray hills. As they passed through the clouds, the world below faded from sight. Only sky remained. "Where do we go now?" Nathan asked. "I know a place," Calera said. "A hidden station near the belt of Orvos. Out of the Order's reach, for now. A contact of mine runs it. We can rest there. Sounds like a good place to fix our wounds," Nathan said. "And maybe our lives." Calera didn't answer at first. She stared out the window. "When I was younger," she said slowly, "I dreamed of becoming the strongest, the best fighter. But that dream always ended in death, mine or someone else's. I never thought about what came after." "Maybe this is the after," Nathan said. The cockpit was quiet for a moment. Then Calera reached into her armor and pulled out a small emblem. It was old, metal, and worn from years of battle. She held it out to him. "This was given to me by Vesk," she said. "I carried it into every mission, but now it belongs to both of us." Nathan took it carefully. "Thank you. You earned it," she said. "You fought beside me, protected me. You gave me something I never had before. That trust." They flew in silence for a while, both watching the stars. Ahead of them, the galaxy opened wide. No more orders, no more lies, just freedom. Later, as they reached orbit and set course for Orvos, Nathan checked the ship's storage area. They found supplies, clean clothes, and medical kits. He helped Calera patch her leg. She cleaned a cut on his cheek. "You're not very good at staying out of danger," she teased. "And you're not very good at resting," he replied. They both smiled. When the ship finally reached the outer, Calera guided it toward a hidden station.
They?
The place was built inside a hollowed-out asteroid, nearly invisible to scanners. Lights blinked as the station received their signal and opened its landing bay. As the dropship touched down, Nathan turned to Calera. "What now?" She looked around the ship, then at him. "We disappear for a while, rest, recover, maybe. Figure out what this partnership really means." He nodded. "I'd like that." Before they stepped off the ship, she paused and gave him a look he hadn't seen before. Not the glare of a warrior, but the quiet look of someone who finally saw the future. And Nathan? Yeah. Next time we set up camp, she said. With a soft smirk, don't forget the rule. What rule? Eyes front. Human. He laughed, and this time, so did she. Side by side, they walked into the station, mercenary and mechanic, survivor and friend. The stars awaited them, and whatever came next, they would face it together.